Hi, I'm Ninja Anime, and I'm about to explain how every typical light novel adaptation, every magic fantasy school anime that's based off a light novel goes. They're all the same. So first you have your bog standard harem protagonist, main character, he's a loser, he's got like an infamous nickname that he's known for, and he's arrived at the school and he's got seemingly no powers or nothing. Immediately, he meets the Tsundere character and gets into a fight with the Tsundere. And then on the very first day, the Tsundere ends up challenging him to a battle because Tsunderes have that pride. And then during the battle, oh look, it turns out the main character has like some hidden OP ability. Oh my goodness. And he ends up beating the Tsundere, or something goes wrong in the battle where he has to save the Tsundere. And then the tsundere ends up befriending him. And then as the show goes on, they usually introduce another girl fairly afterwards. There's usually a lot of harem moments, of course. The main character ends up in a lot of etchy moments. Around episode 6 or 7, there's usually like a big monster fight. They go on this trip, they go to like the beach, and then they end up fighting like a giant monster while they're like in, let's say, Kyoto. They've gone on a field trip to Kyoto and there ends up being a big monster there or a villain. We get like a tease of the villain. The final villain gets like teased in episode 6, like some shady organization behind the scenes. Because of course there's some shady organization out to get the school with some shady villain. And the ending is always like a huge dragon fight. There's usually some kind of a tournament as well, or some kind of sports festival, or some kind of festival arc, right? Where they have some sort of event at school where they have to compete against each other, because of course they do. And there's in episode 2 or 3, there's like that one training scene, and then they never train again. And the final boss always ends up being like a giant monster. The main villain, he ends up summoning like a giant monster for the main character to defeat, and the main character is so like OP and overpowered that he um defeats the monster, of course. There's around episode 6 or 7, there's also the transfer student that joins and like immediately knows the main character, but of course she does. It's just like, I have come to marry. It's the typical proposal thing, right? Where it's just like, I have come to marry the main character, and the tsundere just gets up out of her chair, just like, what? How dare you marry the main character or whatever? You know, it's always a foreigner. They're either from like Europe. It's either France, Germany, the UK, or Russia or somewhere. The UK is quite a popular destination. They like to have like this posh transfer student. They like to have the posh character always. There'll be like one character that's like a really posh, she thinks she's high and mighty above the rest. Bog standard stuff, typical stuff, nothing new or fancy. That is pretty much everything you can expect in a school fantasy anime.